Well, you know that if you watch the Chief's remarks live on our 10 News WTSP Facebook page this morning, you heard he said very emphatically that they felt confident that Howell Donaldson III is their suspect. Yeah, Allison, let's talk about that. But first things first, I want to show you as we just hit 6 o'clock, the gates have just closed, and this site is closed for the day, and yet you look beyond the fence here, and you can still see we've got lines coming in both directions.
Josh, I have a feeling if you won, you might not be here today, right?
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. Nah, I wouldn't have come in. But can you imagine waking up and all of a sudden you are $450 million richer? It's the fourth largest Mega Millions jackpot in history. A single ticket matching all 6 numbers, as you said, sold right here.
We really had a lot of questions.
A lot of questions. And Allison, I have been looking into this plant all day here. First question we had is, what does it mean now that these chemicals are no longer contained inside of the plant? It's been unfathomable to watch some of this stuff. Yes, I want to start with one that actually more than 3,000 of you have shared from our 10 News Facebook page. And yes, it is real and it is heartbreaking. Look at this. This is of elderly residents in an assisted living center near Houston, stuck in floodwaters. You can see they're up to their waists.
So we just drilled the holes with a Tapcon screw.
They knew
If anything was going to come through any of our windows,
in the panic
it was going to be these windows.
to prepare, but
No, we almost didn't have it.
these plywood shutters almost never were.
Barely anybody had plywood in the area.
And that is where
I'm not doing this to get famous.
this trucker
I was doing this to help families.
named Tim McCrory comes in.
I don't know how to explain it.
So we'll give it a shot. Tim's truck was loaded up with plywood headed for Florida when somewhere in South Carolina his tire blew. He waited 7 hours for a fix and determined to make the delivery. He continued on to the Home Depot in Zephyr Hills, but by then it was too late. The hurricane was nearly here. The store refused his shipment, but Tim refused to let it go.
So Tim was there with his truck and offered to give the plywood to everybody who was there who needed it.
One by one, sheet by sheet.
I didn't even think once.
Families and first responders looking for help
It all just started happening.
found heart.
I was just so amped up.
But no good deed goes unpunished.
Oh, I went into it knowing that there was a very good chance that I was going to lose my job.
On Monday, Tim was fired for that freebie handout.
He sacrificed his family's welfare for our community, and he didn't know us.
So Tracy fired right back
Our original goal is $1,000.
with a GoFundMe.
I can't, again, thank you enough.
Payback for the plywood.
I can't thank her enough for what she's done.
Turns out you can't put a price on.
We'll always stay in touch.
In Zephyr Hills, Josh Sidorowicz, 10 News.
It's not like TV, it's not like the movies.
No, this was real life, and these 2 Hillsborough County deputies knew they had to act fast. Police say 82-year-old Leona Evans drove across Alexander Street here at Paul Buckman Highway, hit an embankment, and then went airborne through a fence into this pond where her car began to sink.
Instantly we knew this was a lot more serious than usual.
When Deputy Thompson jumped in and could not get her door opened, he broke out the passenger window.
It just rushed in, and the water went from her ankles to her chest in a few seconds.
As she was screaming, all of a sudden the roof kind of went underwater and the screaming stopped.
I remember hearing the citizens say, no, not like this isn't happening, and I'm thinking, no, this isn't happening.
The car went under and so did Deputy Thompson. So with his body halfway through the window, it was Thompson's partner and others who helped pull him and that woman out.
It looks a lot worse than it is.
Once on shore, Thompson had several cuts from the broken glass, but it was his partner, Deputy Miguez, who tried to lighten the mood for the distraught driver.
I told her she's a tough old lady, and
What did she say when you said that to her?
she laughed.
And then shot one right back.
She said, that's a heck of a place for them to put that pond.
But the right place, right time for 2 deputies who say mere seconds made all the difference.
It worked perfectly. It worked exactly like it was supposed to, and if it had been any other way, it would have been a much more tragic outcome.
And even though deputies said at the scene she was laughing, she was even joking around with them, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office told us she was brought here to Lakeland Regional to be treated for serious injuries caused by that crash. In Lakeland, Josh Sidorowicz, 10 News.
I just couldn't believe it.
What if the greatest gift
It is boggling. It is amazing.
wasn't wrapped and placed under a tree?
It's just something that I've always wanted.
And what if Olivia Robles never imagined receiving it?
I'm starting to get a little emotional here myself.
It's hard not to. It's really hard not to.
Yeah.
Hard to believe it was only just weeks ago Robles of Valrico and 78-year-old Gary Barnes of California first met.
There she is.
Hard to believe it was a DNA test through Ancestry.com that led this daughter to her father after nearly a lifetime of looking.
I always knew that I had a dad out there somewhere.
Barnes, a decorated Vietnam veteran, spent much of his downtime during the war in the Philippines, where Robles was later born, but by then Barnes had been called back to Vietnam.
I had no idea that she was pregnant.
He and Robles' mother lost touch. Barnes never even went on to have kids of his own. Little did he know.
This is like our thing here. We have the same stubby thumbs.
He'd had one all along.
That's what makes this especially special.
Especially now. Finding a newfound daughter meant 3 newfound grandsons.
I never thought in a million years I'd know who my grandfather was.
All with military backgrounds, mind you, and even one great-grandson. Meeting them all just this week in Florida.
I still sometimes have to shake my head and think, is this really happening?
Proving that sometimes the greatest gifts
I love them all so much.
can be the ones you never even imagined existed.
It just brings everything to completion. I mean, we are a family.
I mean, come on.
Oh my gosh, goosebumps.
So Robles said she even wrote Southwest Airlines about all of this, and in return, they gave Barnes a complimentary round-trip ticket to come here to Tampa to visit for this Christmas.
Wow, that makes it so much extra special.
Right.
And as you can imagine, this is probably the first of many trips for this family.
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely. You know, they said, too, they know that they cannot make up for all of the lost time, right? 50 years or so, but they're certainly going to maximize what they do have now together. They are planning a trip. They're going to go back to California, and eventually Robles wants to take her dad to the Philippines, where she was born, to meet the majority of her family who still lives there.
Oh my goodness, I have
Isn't that great?
goosebumps. That is such a heartwarming story. I
They hit it
love
off
it.
right away.
And just in time for the holidays, right?
Just in time.
Cheers to that.